Welcome to Spiritual Vacancy. This is a podcast to help fill your spiritual void. We discuss everything from psychic mediums, Reiki practitioners, palmistry, astrology, all the way to aliens and religion. We hope you can join us every week as we dive into topics of the sometimes unknown and, of course, the other side. We hope you enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to the podcast at. Thank you for listening in today to Spiritual Vacancy. I am interviewing my husband, and I don't know if this is going to go very
This is a
well.
great idea.
I wanted to interview my husband to find out what it feels like to be married to a psychic medium. How does he feel, even with his how he was raised in a religious, very religious background. And, how does it change him? Like how being married to me. And just, I'm going to ask different questions today. So this should be an interesting podcast. And hopefully we don't laugh too much. So welcome, Jeremy. Thank you
I,
for being here.
it's good to be here. I was looking forward to this.
No, he wasn't.
I'm here of my own free will, and all these answers are not coerced. No, just kidding. I am actually happy to do this. I'm not sure what questions I'm going to be asked, and
I don't
I don't
either.
think she knows how I'm going to answer this. So this is really flip a coin on a lot of stuff.
I don't know what questions I'm going to ask either, so it's okay. But if would you have ever thought that we have been together? We are celebrating, well, we celebrated 23 years in August. I don't know what day it is, obviously. Um, would you have thought after 23 years of just being with me that I would be doing what I do today?
No,
Yeah, me
no.
neither.
No, it's been an interesting journey to see it from the outside, because and I know like plenty of people who are watching this have probably heard you talk a little bit about your history, but for a long time she was dealing with a lot of anxiety and she didn't know why, and that was really spirit manifesting itself. We couldn't go to movie theaters, we couldn't do a lot of things, go to crowded spaces and whatnot, and so on one hand, I'm really, really, really happy that she's learned to deal with that because it doesn't hit her the same way in public places like it used to. Also, watching the beginning of this process and watching how hard she worked on it, and just really fine tuning her craft. The other thing is, I'm a kind of analytical person. I am skeptical on certain things, but I'm open-minded as well. And I know that there are some people that aren't truly mediums and could do certain things like try to play the numbers and the averages and do all of that. But I know that my wife is not that type of person. And seeing like she's the first person I've known that I truthfully know she's not doing any of that. This is just a gift. This is just what she does. And it's not like anything other than something honestly beautiful most of the time. So. It's been fun watching you. It's if you don't know my wife, she hasn't met a business that she doesn't want to start. So, this she already had a restaurant, we opened a coffee shop, then she's like, and I'm gonna be a medium. I'm gonna talk to dead people. I'm like, oh yeah, that checks. Sure, we'll do that. Oh, as another business, yes. And Reiki too, as well. Let's just add that one in also. So, and it started off at the house, which, again, talking from a husband's point of view, I'm like, wow, well, that won't cost too much because it's from the house. And then she's like, well, no, I'm going to get another place. I'm like, okay, so she has a restaurant that has rent, and then she has an office that has rent, and
That was not fully my doing. As you know, the city where I live loves to make random rules. It's not really random, but I'm not a huge rule follower until I get caught, and then I apologize.
yeah,
But with the anxiety that he was talking about, I did. It was debilitating. I didn't want to go anywhere. I, wouldn't. I mean, I still don't really want to go anywhere, honestly, but it has gotten a lot better, and I've learned to kind of deal with my anxiety. But it was debilitating, and that wasn't like that my whole life. So it was like in my early 30s. So we met when I was 22 and never experienced anxiety before until my early 30s, and that's when it hit me. So that was just like a huge change for me, but he's been my biggest supporter. He's always been pushing me to be the best version of myself or believed in me. Even if he didn't believe in what I did, I still feel like he would support me. And, to go back, like your religion, you being raised a Jehovah's Witness is something that, you taught me a lot about the religion because I knew nothing about it. Obviously, I was not raised that religion, and you stopped being that religion when you were a senior in high school. And if he still was that religion, we would not be together because it's just a different views, different, you know, I don't know. It's a different way of life, I should say, and it's not one that I am familiar with.
Yeah.
So I
I mean,
am glad that you moved. I'm glad he wasn't a part of that when I met him because I love him. So couldn't imagine my life
well,
without him.
I mean, I think it's important just to say too, I think everybody's got a different path when it comes to religion,
Hmm.
and there are plenty of Jehovah's Witnesses that I think that is the right path for them.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're ever asked me about spirituality, I don't know what that higher force is, and I don't think any one person really does because it's an infinite kind of thing. And usually, the parable I try to make for that is just the blind man with the elephant, and that is they're describing the piece that they interface with. Like one has the trunk, and they're saying it's like a snake. The other one says, no, it's like a snake, maybe, but it's really, really hard and it doesn't move. It's not like a snake at all. He has the tusk. Another one's like it's like a pancake. He's got the ear. And then they could sit there and argue about that all day long, and they're all right, but they're only seeing a part of it. And whatever is out there, it's bigger than us. And so there's going to be different religions and different people that interface with it in different ways. And for me, being a Jehovah's Witness wasn't my path. I don't really like to go through people to talk to, that higher power, like whatever you want to call it, like for me, I mean, I still think of it as Jehovah because that's the name that I grew up with. But I think the other thing that was a difference for me is like so many things in Christianity always talks about going to heaven and things like that. But there's something that's really beautiful also about being here on earth. And one of my ways, if being cheesy for a second, but that I worship is like I go out and I surf. I enjoy those creations and I enjoy being out there and being part of something that feels bigger than myself. So it the stress comes in that is that part of my family are still Jehovah's Witnesses, and
Hmm.
if at some point they do realize exactly what Brooke does, I probably would not be able to talk with them again. And at any point that could happen, you know?
And I am doing my best that that never happens because I would never want my career to make or break a relationship that was fine prior to it. And that's why it really doesn't matter to me if people know what I do, or I don't have to walk around telling people I'm a medium. The people find
Which I
me.
do. I tell everybody.
Actually, he does. He
Yeah.
tells everybody, and I don't tell anybody. And he tells
Well,
every single person, and I don't care if anybody
yeah.
knows.
Well, here's the thing. Like early on, especially when Brooke was first thinking about really going public with the fact that she's a medium, I was totally on board. And there was things where she was nervous. What if our friends don't accept it? What if the people we know don't accept it? And my thing's been pretty simple on that. When it comes to friends, if any friend of mine thinks less of my wife for her being who she is. This isn't a career. This is who my wife is. Okay. So
Mhm.
it's not like she does it for money and that's great, but this is a gift. This is integral. Before she did it for money, she talked to people anyway because it just flows through her. So if any friend of mine ever looked at her differently or didn't want to be our friend because of it, c'est la vie. They weren't my friend, Now with my family, it's a little bit more of a sticky subject, and I hope I never have to cross that. But
Me too.
here's the thing: if ever somebody from my family were trying to make it into a decision between my wife and them, then it's not a decision, okay? Because she's not trying to make it a decision the other way. So that's the one thing. If there was any big stress on me, it's about that. The other really big stress is there's no way I will ever get away from her. Even when I'm dead, she'll still be able to talk to me and just be like, hey, you know what you didn't do before you left? And I'll be like, God, I'm not here anymore. So, no, just joking there a little bit, but yeah, there's no way I'm getting away from her. Most guys, you can kind of get out if you want to. You're like, till death do you part. She's like, yeah, I'll see about that,
Never leaving me.
Probably had me on the podcast when I passed too.
You'll be hanging out with me. I know you
Yep,
will. So it
yep.
doesn't matter. I know you'll always be around whether you're physically here or not. But still, but yeah, I mean, he's my biggest supporter. He has seen me from the beginning, trying to even figure it out, being on anxiety medicine, going to counseling, 12 years ago, maybe even longer, of what the heck is happening to me. And then realizing, oof, I think there might be more to this than I'm actually realizing. But then you being my biggest supporter, and I am still very girly. Like, I love pink, I love girly stuff. I'm not into like the dark side of stuff at all. Or you could even ask, like, I don't have a million crystals everywhere. I mean, I do sage the house every now and then,
Sage. If she wasn't
but
gonna say it, I was gonna say it. That's a lot of sage. It's a lot, okay?
I love my sage. I love to sage my space. It
And
just
all of our spaces.
it feels better though. It does. It feels lighter when I sage my space, or if I've had a bad day, or if you've had a bad day, or just it feels like the energy is off in the universe, or however it might be. Like, I am saging, I am cleansing the space, and that's pretty much it though. I just have my sage, and of course we've got like our little candles and stuff, but I'm not like a huge, you know, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not real big into the typical like spiritual stuff, or the people that you think that are like psychic mediums, all the stuff they're into. I'm pretty basic, really. I'm just me. I'm not, like how people have like all the witchy stuff and spells and all. It's not me. That's just not me. And I don't want it to be me.
She does take the broom to work every now and then.
It's because it's
So,
dirty, so I have to clean, but it's not quick enough. I like
so
to drive a little faster than the broom.
yeah. So when she asked me to come on the podcast and talk about it, there was a couple of things that I thought about that I might want to highlight. One of those was like a pivotal moment. We had a coffee shop and we did a night with spirit, and she had a medium come in, and she was talking to that medium. I can't remember if it was after or before, but at one point, she just randomly kind of said to that medium, "Oh yeah, I do this too." And the medium was like, Do what?" No, I do what you do. Wait, you're a medium as well? Oh yeah, no, I am. But it was just like she hadn't really gone out and done it as much at that point, and that was like a real turning point for her because her verbalizing it, putting it out there to someone who makes their living doing that
Mhm.
was a really big thing. One other thing to anyone that's going to be a partner to a medium, just be prepared. Be prepared that any dinner conversation you go to, no matter how cool the stuff you do is, the second that they find out that your wife is a medium, you're not there anymore. Like you could do triple backflips off of buildings. It's like, so she talks to like dead people? Yeah, but I also then saved these five people from a burning building. Yeah, but she talks to, and you're invisible at that point. They don't see you. They're just like, well, tell me, how'd you find out about that?
But that's why I don't like talking about it. I don't like being the center of attention. I just don't like to be, I just don't tell. I always say if people are supposed to be finding me or coming for a session, they will organically. It'll be word of mouth or probably my husband's mouth is one of them.
It's a
But
good one.
it's word of mouth, or if I do like a public demonstration or things like that, which he's my biggest supporter. Like, when he will come to my large events and he'll be my cameraman and he'll watch. And I love it too because when I watch back the footage, I can hear him crying because of how real and emotional it is. And I remember it was the second year that I was doing the Wilmington event and he was filming, and everybody at the table, everybody stopped by my table after my demonstration because there was a young boy there, probably like what, 12, 13 maybe. And his dad had come through with his mom there. And this is, a reminder, it's a public demonstration. So I don't know who's signing up. I don't know who's going to be there. It's not my event. And I had got that he wore his dad's Nirvana t-shirt. And it was a Nirvana t-shirt, right? And I think there wasn't a dry eye in the house when that specific piece of evidence came through, right?
I was cutting onions at the time. I mean, it was just,
Side.
yeah. And so was everybody else. No, but truly, it was a powerful moment. And like when you try to talk about that, it's not going to match the energy of what was going on there. And when she said there wasn't a dry, I mean, you had, I think, at least 20 people out there going, trying to hold it in because it was just super emotional. And that's the thing. Like she really brings healing and she brings, peace to a lot of people. And I can say this, there's so many jobs that you could do in life, right? There's so many things, but like she touches people and it's something, it brings beauty to the world. And I wish that everybody could look at it like that, but not everybody will. Not everybody understands either, you know?
And that's okay. You know what I mean? And that's okay if they don't understand what I do or what it brings or how it actually affects you. Because it does, and it even affects when you watch other people's readings, because you get kind of like that healing for them, or you can have that empathy for somebody else to get that little piece of healing of a loved one. But you are always my biggest supporter. Like 1,000%. If he was not by my side, I wouldn't want to do it. Like I need him there. I need his face. I need to see him. Yes, your face. That's right there. I need
We
that.
call this the moneymaker.
Yes, he's the money
We don't
maker.
call this the moneymaker.
We don't, but that's fine. I mean, you do have a job and you make good money,
Yeah.
but we don't call the face the money
Yes.
maker. But it definitely, his support means the world to me. That I have, not only am I married to my husband, but I'm married to my best friend, and he supports everything I do, and he supports this kind of work because this work is not easy. This work, I have worked really hard to be where I am today with thousands of classes, practice readings, mentorships, and he has supported me 1,000% on my journey
Well,
and continues to do so.
I'm proud of her. I mean, this is not a skill that everybody possesses. It is not something that's easy to do, and it bears an emotional toll on her. And I get to see that, whereas most people don't.
Hmm.
She'll have this happened, I think it was either the week before, last week or the week before that, but she had a day where she gave great evidence to people. Okay. Great evidence, but people don't always take that. They don't, you wouldn't believe sometimes it's like she'll say the name of the person, she'll say, that was this month, and the person says, no, I got nothing. I don't understand what that means, and will be skeptical. And then in the same conversation, go, oh, well, God, that's my mom's name, and she passed away in that month. And it's just like, but she takes that to heart as if she didn't get something and when she did. And I get to see that side that everybody doesn't, when she takes it like she didn't come through in the way and she did. She gave all the evidence. That person just wasn't able to accept it because they weren't able to think of all of that at the time. And so I am just amazed at how far you've come, how
Hmm.
much that you do, and I am always going to talk about it because I'm really proud of her. It's not something that I think most kindergartners say, when I grow up, I'm going to talk to dead people, right?
I didn't even say that. That wasn't anything on my bingo card. That was nothing. But yeah, he sees the hard times. He sees when I'm crying. He sees when I'm having a bad day with spirit. He sees the emotional side that I don't let like other people see because you just don't want to. He sees the times where I just want to crawl in bed and do nothing and not speak to anybody. Don't talk to me. Don't put anything on TV. Just decompress or be in my thoughts.
When we sometimes right before we get, and she'll probably not want me to say all this, but right before we're going to go to like a big event,
Mm.
I get to see when the nerves hit her. Okay. And when she's talking about she just wants to go home, she's like, and you
Crying.
wouldn't believe
Right.
it's the same person when it starts. You know, like she's, oh gosh, what if this doesn't happen? What if spirit doesn't come through? What if I don't read it right? All of these things. And she gets super anxious before, but then when she gets there, it's like
A
a light
flip.
switch just turns on and nobody would know any of that side.
Yeah, because I get so nervous. I do not like speaking in front of crowds. So I get really, really nervous where I'll cry. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And this is all like in the car on the way to the event.
Well, we're trying to figure out where we're supposed to drive, and it can manifest itself in certain things about my driving.
Yes, we not good stuff either.
So I have just learned
Not good
it's gonna be a fun ride.
and it stresses me out and but he is the like my calm. He's my calm. So, yeah, and then when I get there, I'm still feeling nauseous and sick and I just tell him I want to go home. I actually told him to turn around one time when we pulled in and I said, "Let's just go home. I can't do this." And he goes, "No, you're going to do this and you're going to do amazing." And I still didn't trust him, but I still did it because I'm like, what's the worst? I didn't do good. I don't know, like
Yeah.
but I still do it even though I don't want to do it, but I push myself to do it. And then, he also ghost hunts with me and I love it. I love it. And he's actually got some really good evidence with me ghost hunting. And what do you think about that? Do you like doing the paranormal stuff?
I think it's fun. It's usually pretty late at night and it can be interesting, but no, actually I do like it. I think it's pretty cool because it's usually tied in with history and we learn a lot as well. And yeah, we do get stuff. Now, what I'm very thankful for is I'm there for the fun part. I don't have to comb back through the footage because that's the
Hmm.
part that's brutal is you're looking through all the footage, listening to all the sound over and over. I already kind of do like a little stuff like I have a GoPro and I comb through a lot of footage trying to see if like there's maybe a wave that I surfed good and it's a lot of combing through the footage to find one of those. But no, it is fun and it's cool because we're usually traveling and we're at some like whether we were in like not that we did it so much, but we went to Gettysburg and we
Hmm.
did some other things
We
like that,
did.
Savannah. So it's usually in a cool environment.
And St. Augustine is when we
Yeah,
did the jail and we got a full face apparition. We got breathing where you can hear the spirit go. It's so freaking cool. And you got him to play with
yeah.
Jeremy was talking to him with the
It
wind
was like
up.
on cue. Like
Yep.
it was literally on
It was
cue.
answering you.
Yeah,
The
and I
spirit.
would be like, oh, how about now? Okay. Oh, and it was just every time I asked it to, it did. So
It was awesome.
yeah, that was definitely interesting. But it's fun to watch because I'm sure that will be another business is paranormal investigating. She's already really getting into that, buying equipment and
We have a
everything.
reveal
Because
crib room
let's,
with Lee and Jen.
let's start another business. Why not?
Why not? We are the type of people where we just do it and ask questions later, right? You just got to do it. You can't wait. As we know, this time in this body is short. It is not as long as we hope for it to be. So, might as well just do stuff. Take risks, do the challenges.
This is where we are a good team because that is her mode is just go and ask the questions later. And I tried to ask the questions before. So we do have some very fun conversations as I try to ask some of the questions ahead of time.
Jeremy would be like, "Well, why do you think that's good? Or did you figure that out?" Like, no, but we're going, so we're gonna go do it. And that's it. And he's like, "But you didn't ask or figure this out?" No, like, we're just gonna do it. Let's go. And it just makes a good team because then he says, "Okay,
We figure it out.
let me figure it out."
It's like when we opened a coffee shop, true story. It took forever to do all the construction, to build the walls,
Which we did.
yeah, to build the countertops, to get through this license with the city, all that stuff. And we get all that stuff done, and we have 2 weeks until we're going to open. And so we stop and look at each other like, oh, I guess we have to learn how to make coffee now.
We didn't know how to make coffee. And we still didn't. And we hired our barista, and she taught us how to make coffee. Because we didn't know. We'd never made a coffee, and the coffees we did make were definitely not like the ones that she taught us how to make. But that's how we roll. We just do it. If you have a vision, you have an idea, you have your eye on the prize, you just make it work no matter what. And that's kind of how our whole life has been, because it's just been you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really had family or anybody to like rely on. Nobody's helped us do anything in our life. It's just been
Well, my parents have helped a little bit, but it's mainly us.
What did they help?
Well, when we were doing one of our houses, my dad let us use a little bit of money.
That we had to pay back?
Yes. Yeah, it was help.
What's helpful?
We
We
lived
did get
with
to
them
keep some of
for
it,
a
the
couple
money.
months.
That is true. That
Yeah.
okay, you're
We
right.
lived with my
Yes.
mom for a couple, but
It's true. We
ultimately,
did, but we did have to pay his dad
Yeah.
back. Like that was to make our bank account look big for money we didn't
we're
have.
like,
And what
Dad, we need money in the bank account. I don't actually need the money. I just need it to be in the bank account.
that is
Okay.
exactly right. We needed to look like we had more money than we did. So it was a gift. And then as soon as we closed on the house, we had to pay the money back. And then we went back to regular people broke. But we had our first house
Yeah.
that we got all on our own. And we've done a lot of projects all on our own. Everything we do, I mean, yes, we have had a little bit of help, but not like a lot of
But we do
people.
most of it ourselves,
Yeah.
and we haven't been given very much.
Anything.
But I think that's also what makes us who we are, and we've just learned to rely on ourselves. We've been in
Yeah.
some interesting situations, and we make our way through it.
We
Just
do.
like, I mean, like an interesting situation. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I need you to do a podcast, and I'm like, oh, great.
Just to be interviewed.
Yes, yes.
You could tell he's really shy. Yeah. Sorry to drag you on my podcast to talk to you about this.
You can't see, but there's a chain down here. I can't even get away from the tape. No. No, I was happy to do this, and thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode of us bantering back and forth with my husband. So now you know who I'm married to and who has to deal with me daily. So
I have to say one other fun thing about that and about our banter. So at her restaurant, um, I think there was people who hadn't met me, didn't know who I actually was, and had heard a little bit about me, but really kind of wondered because, as you know, Brooke, you'll understand that she is a smart aleck, a very, very smart aleck.
it's called sarcastic.
Mhm. And they wondered who could possibly keep up with her. And then they met me. And the first thing several people said when they met me, they go, oh, okay. I was wondering who could, but you're also a very cheesy, smart Alec. We're going to use the word Alec, okay?
We can cuss on here.
Yeah.
That's a smart ass.
She will cuss.
Yes, this is an adult podcast, so
Yes.
you can definitely cuss. But yes, we are very good together, bantering back and forth. But yes, I love humor. I love giving people a hard time or being sarcastic or
Definitely
just
part two more than part one. Her humor is questionable. Her giving a hard time, impeccable.
Alrighty, well, this podcast is over. I'm gonna go tape his mouth shut now because he's not allowed to be on the podcast anymore. So, anyways, we hope y'all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.
Bye.